Sorry about the delay. This technical difficulty is driving me nuts. It's been bouncing in and out, and disconnecting me for some odd reason. I don't know why, but welcome to Put It on the Table. As I said before, I'm waiting
Hey,
on my other half here. Like to
which I
introduce
wasn't
yourself, lady.
expecting it. All
So I
right.
brought on I brought on my other half here. Y'all, you always hear me talk about her in different videos that we recorded. So now you get to see her face to
Hello,
face.
hello, hello.
So I kind of brought her on to get her perspective on some things. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and we were talking about the relationship thing, and we were talking about actually what does it take, and when are you ready? Are you really ready to get into a relationship? And I kept trying to tell them that there's certain things that you got to do to get yourself ready for a relationship. And there's certain things I think that you would be doing if you were indeed serious about getting in a relationship. So, Nikki, you tell me what things from a woman's perspective you want to see in a man in order for him to look like he's in and ready for a relationship.
Well, first of all, can you hear me? Can you hear me good?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I can barely hear myself. That's why I was asking.
you ain't
But
gotta hear yourself.
yeah, I do. So I need to know what I sound like. But anyway, at well, coming from this age right now, so at 50, if you're ready to be in a relationship, you got to look at people's past first and see what they've dealt with, and have they gotten over, their past relationships or past marriages or past baby mamas, because if they're still holding on to a lot of that, a lot of people can't move forward. They can say they're ready, but if you have not let go, or just pretty much either forgave the person for what have happened, or dealt with whatever those unresolved issues may have been. Some people can say all day they're ready to move on to a relationship, but in all honesty, until you let all of that go, you'll never be ready. You can start a relationship, but will it be a successful relationship, or will it end up being turning into marriage or a long lasting relationship? It could
So
be
you
just
think so you think you got to dive into a person's past? How far? I mean, how deep you got to dive into a
not
person's past?
necessarily dive into the past, but I mean, at this point it's a conversation that needs to be had, because we not little kids no more, and we got so much behind us that we need to know what this person might be dealing with. I'm not just gonna, even with you, I didn't just jump in a relationship not
Yeah, you did.
knowing.
No, you didn't.
I'm about to hang up.
I was just that good. I was just that good. Now go ahead. Go ahead.
Without knowing a little bit about you, you know what I'm saying? Even the relationship you got out of before we got together, I needed to know enough of how we were going to move forward. Was that going to interfere with what we had? Um, and you pretty much, we both at that time put it on the table. I let you know my past, you let me know your past. So that way,
And
I
I ain't
kind of,
get scared away after you told me your
I
past.
know, because I had
Ooh,
some shit in
Lord,
my
I had
past.
some strengths. I had some strength.
Whatever, whatever. But and that's just the dilemma that we all deal with as we get older. Not like I said, you ain't got to dig deep, but you need to know something.
So, so
Were you ever married? If so, when did you get a divorce? How long were you? I mean, I'm not saying you come right off the rip asking all these questions, but these is things over time, and not over no long period of time. You kind of want to find out kind of early on, so like, did you recently just get a divorce? Have you gotten yourself together first before you're trying to move forward into a relationship? Are you still holding on to the past relationship or the past marriage? Those things have to be kind of put on the table, so I'll know how to move forward, because I could possibly be in a relationship to kind of help, not so much heal you, but move past it. Because if you're not telling me this, I won't know how to deal with it. If you start having shit, men have mood swings and everything else. I don't know what you're dealing with. I'm just saying. So I need to know who and what I'm getting into. And same
uh,
thing,
I
even
think
with.
men look at it from a somewhat different perspective. Well, somewhat similar, but different perspective. Have you heard on the podcast before when we talk about it? You know, some people just want to see the representative all the time. For the life of me, I don't know why, but they want to see
Mm-mm.
the representative all the time. They don't ever want to see the real you. So they get to see the makeup you. They get to see the
No,
non-roller you all the time.
no,
They get to hear all the beautiful lies, you
no.
know, and never hear the
But
truth and all that kind of
that's
stuff. So
in a
eventually,
sense,
that's going to end up in a problem. That's just my opinion when
because
you
that's
always
not
talking
being
to a representative.
realistic. That's not being
Yeah,
realistic. If anybody go on my
it's
page
not.
today, if anybody go on my page today, I was beautiful. Right now, I'm at home. You know, I had my bonnet on a minute ago. I put this damn ponytail back
I
on because I
talked
was
about
not
them daggone
expecting.
bonnets.
I was
She
not
ain't get the hint.
expecting on being
I
on
talked about them
camera.
bonnets. She ain't get the hint.
No, nigga, when I get home, I gotta get comfortable. But I'm just saying. So people who so-called stuck on a representative, you know, the reality is, it is it doesn't exist. You know, those was leave it to Cleaver days. I'm sorry, where she got up in the morning, she was fully dressed, had her heels on, hair was done, makeup fresh. You know, it's not
So what's wrong
impossible.
with that? You ain't got
It's
necessarily
not
that ain't
nothing.
that.
It's
You
not
ain't got to go back
impossible,
to
but don't
1950 to
do
get
not.
that. You
Shush,
ain't got to
shush,
go.
shush.
You ain't got to go back to
Don't let
1950
me
to
go
try
there.
to have
Don't let me
that same
don't let me.
persona going on.
We was talking about something else because I'll be done took this conversation
Yeah, we
somewhere
go.
else if
Yeah,
I
let's go.
think we're
Let's
gonna
go.
be
Let's
more.
go back. Let's go back to the day, Lord Jesus. Let's go back. Yeah,
But
let's
yeah,
go
I
back.
think if you really read, I mean, and some people know when they're ready, you know, and but when you ready, you kind of put everything else to the side, and that's other people. You know, if you dating somebody and you really like them, nobody else, you know, you like screw everybody else, you know, because you really into that person. But when you just playing around and you trying to see what you want, I think sometimes people play and forget what they really looking for because they get
So I
comfortable
think
with playing.
I think people just. I think sometimes you can. How can I say? They're looking at the forest and they miss the tree that's right in front of them sometimes. And I think that they're always looking for the next best thing coming. It's like you can get 70-80% of what you're looking for in somebody, and then they're still looking for somebody that's going to have 85-90% of what you're looking for. So they're
Mhm.
always passing up a thing that could potentially be good, very good for them. You know, a
Mhm.
relationship that could be very good for them for something that they don't even know that's out there necessarily, that may not even be out there, but they're anticipating or wanting it to be out there so much so that they're willing to pass up something that's right in front of their face that could be a very good match for them, a very good relationship for them to, you know, go into
Mhm.
for, you know, just the anticipation of finding something better. And better ain't always out there. And so
Mhm.
I think sometimes we gotta, you know, bring our expectations to be more realistic in regards to what, you know, what we want.
And the
I
key is
think
what does I mean, and that's the whole point. What do you want? Are you looking for somebody to really settle down with, grow old with, build financially with, you know, or are you looking for somebody to take care of you, uh, you know, or just somebody to be a pretty thing on your arm? What are you looking for? What do you want? And
well,
that
also,
has to be
and
the
all of
thing.
those
What do you want?
categories come with their own issues and problems. Also, I mean, because the quote unquote arm piece and don't have nothing else, then you know that comes with some issues. So the when you totally committed to being a housewife, that comes with a totally different thing. If you are a 100% career woman, that comes with its own set of things. So you really got to understand what it is that you're looking for and be ready to actually make the sacrifice to put yourself, in my opinion, from a man's perspective, put yourself in a position where that is going to be available to you. Because if you got something, and I said this earlier, if you're looking to actually settle down, if you're looking to actually get married, if you're actually looking to commit to somebody, yet you're entertaining, you know, this one, and that one, then there's no room for this person who could really mean something for you, especially, you know, when you're attempting to ask for divine intervention in your situation, God ain't gonna
Right.
bless no mess. And so he's not gonna intervene and put somebody in your life and mess them up, because it could be somebody that's out there that's being prepared or already prepared for you that you're not gonna end up being able to meet because you're not willing to make that sacrifice to put yourself in a position where you say, hey, I'm done, I'm good, I'm waiting for whoever is supposed to be in my life to be in my life. And when that happens, then you're ready for it. But if you ain't willing to make that sacrifice, you'll keep wandering around in the forest for 4 years, so to speak.
Right. Okay. So, um, I can't speak for other people what they want and what they're looking for. So with us, because a lot of people, like you said, you are my better half, not just my other half. You're my better half. You create and make me whole. But at the same time, because we had such a short, our everything happened quick. You know what I'm saying? So how did you know with me? Because when we met actually in April. By August, we made it official. November, I moved in. January, you proposed. The following year, July, we got married. So, how did you know when with me? And and I know, shit, we everybody know I'm not perfect, but how did you? That's another conversation. But how did you know that I was the one? Because you had already told me you was pretty much ready to commit in a relationship, but how did you know I was that one?
Well, like I tell that story all the time. I already did my research. I watch people. I'm a watcher. And I sit back and watch people. Watch how they move. I watch how they do
Mhm.
things, and then I ask questions of those that know them. Because sometimes, and I'm just being honest, you can go to a person and when you're dating them or anticipating dating or want to date them, you go to them and you can start asking them questions, and you're gonna get that representative. And
Yeah.
that ain't what I wanted. I didn't want the representative. I wanted to find out, give me the worst. Let me know,
Mhm.
let me know what the worst is. And if I could deal with the worst, if I can hear the worst and then deal with the worst, then the rest is easy.
Mhm.
So, I had to ask my questions. I asked my questions. I watched how you moved. I watched who you talked to. I watched what you did, the whole
Mhm.
nine. And then I asked, a couple friends questions like, "What do you think?" and da 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 da
Mhm.
da. And I got for the most part, I got a good report. For the most part, I
Whatever.
got a good report back. So um, and at this age, it's not rocket science to me, and I don't
Mhm.
think that it takes 3, 4, 5 years to figure it out. And for the life of me, I don't understand how people are engaged for 4 or 5 years. It just don't make sense to me. I mean, you're living in the same situation or scenario as if you were married anyway for
Mhm.
4 or 5 years. You end up shacking up together, and I think a lot of times, and I'm just keeping it a buck, putting it on the
Mhm.
table. I think a lot of times guys do that. They'll get with somebody and they'll get engaged and they'll try to quote unquote lock them
Like I'm
down with, and,
mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's not necessarily intending to get married because
Exactly.
women have and control children coming into a relationship and or they control children coming into a relationship, and men control the access to marriage. So it's up to the man to decide if he's going to marry a woman or not. And so
Mhm.
those things, um you know in all honesty, like I said, some men just do that. They play that game and try to play lockdown. Let me just lock it down so nobody else are really just getting involved or getting in the middle is going to cause me no issues. So I know this is locked down or whatever. And then they have no intentions. And then 4 or 5 years down the road, you still ain't married. I know people that's been in a relationship and been quote unquote engaged for 10, 15 years. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
how long is your engagement? Like what? And I understand sometimes, people want to have designs on, you know, get married and they want to have this lavish wedding and they want to have this that and the other in place, and I get that, and sometimes
Mhm.
that's relevant. Um but I've seen people spend 30 and $40,000 on a wedding and the wedding was longer than the marriage,
Yeah, and
and just that kind of stuff don't make sense to me. I mean, it really, to me, depends on where your priorities at. Like,
exactly.
what do you consider to be important to you? I mean, we did destination wedding,
Yeah,
and
and not to cut you off, but like you were saying with the cost of weddings, and not to put everybody in our business, but I've been married 3 times. So my first marriage, of course, I went downtown and got married. I was young, wasn't pressed about money. We figured we'd get married for the kids and make this family. So that didn't work. Did it again. Second marriage, more so business partner, blah blah blah. That's where all the money came into place. Huge wedding, over 400 people there, with me catering, making it plush, lavish. 3 months I was out. 3 months I was out, you know. And then with us, it's like, it's about us. Literally, we got married in our pastor's office. We did a destination ceremony, invited the people
ceremony,
who
yeah,
wanted to come. And, it was more about us versus everybody else. So sometimes that becomes an excuse when people, and I understand, even maybe your first marriage, you want it how you want it, but don't make the ceremony the big
more
part
important than the
of the
marriage,
relation of the marriage, because some
right?
people focus so much on the ceremony they forget the whole part of why we came together for the marriage. Because you invite all these people to come, half the time they coming just to be nosy, don't really give a damn if y'all make it or not. They want to know what the food tastes like and if the music is good and what you got on, you
I
know.
think that I said this too. I think we've gotten to a point. Well, I don't say we gotten to a point. This has been there, but people romanticize marriage too much. Marriage is work, and so people who have never been married, they have this romantic, how can I say it, this that Cinderella whole
Mhm.
thing, and I get that, and there is some pageantry, to the whole
Yeah, of
ceremony
course.
itself, but the marriage is an entirely different thing. And if they
Hmm.
don't get the information that they need in regards to the marriage itself, and
Exactly.
then and have this whole imaginary fantasy world where it's going to be lollipops and rainbows, and
Hmm.
then they end up in a divorce court, like you said, within 3 to 6 months, which is
Hmm.
has been what's happened. That's why the divorce rate is over 50%. I think people romanticize it too much instead of actually getting into the nuts and bolts of it, and understanding what marriage is really about, and what the commitment of marriage is actually about, and how it's going to be good days, it's going to be bad days, you are going to fuss, you're not going to agree
Hmm.
on everything. What your partner is demanding of you or requesting of you, and what you requesting of your partner. All of that stuff needs to really be discussed beforehand, so you know what you're getting into. If you get into a situation where either partner has children, what does that look like moving
Exactly.
forward? Are they adolescent children? Are they adult children?
Hmm.
Are your adult children still staying in the house? Are
Exactly.
your minor children still staying in the house? How are you going to deal with all that? So a lot of those questions don't even get answered or even addressed, and then you end up jumping into a marriage, and then you got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of issues.
And
I saw
not
one of
just
my
the
buddies.
marriage, you end up jumping into a relationship because, like you said, a lot of times people are even getting into these relationships and moving in without really knowing. Say for instance, you were to move into my house, and at the time we got together, Boogie was smaller. So next thing you know, it's a knock on the door. And you're like, well, who is this nigga at the door? Like, well, that's his father. We didn't have that discussion that, oh, yeah, his dad comes 2, 3 times a week and pick him up. That type of thing needs to be discussed, because then it becomes an argument. Well, how many times he gonna come over here? Or is it some way that if I know he's coming or the baby mama's coming, however those things need to be discussed. And then a lot of times we get in relationships too where there might be smaller children or grandkids involved. Look, I told you off the rip, I do a lot of family time with the kids. Every now and again we try to do a family trip together. That was known. So that way it was no big thing when you knew that sometimes I spend
Right.
time with the grandkids.
Right, but
You
those discussions have to be had ahead of time. It can't be just like, You never heard about this going on. Then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, every weekend or every other weekend, you
the
got a
kids.
house full of
Mhm,
grandkids going on,
mhm,
or
mhm.
the adult children are stopping by, or you got
Yeah,
adult children staying in the house and they ain't moved out yet. We ain't had no discussion. And then on top of them not moving out, they're not even contributing to the household. All of that kind of
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff plays a part, and then it can end up causing consistent cracks and stuff in your relationship
Mhm, mhm.
with your significant other because you failed to address that stuff. And the thing about it is, it's an easy conversation to have. It's an
Right.
easy conversation to have when you don't sit up and get actually caught up, like I said, get caught up in the romanticism of the situation, romanticism of a relationship, and start really thinking about it as a cohesive bond between two people, and we gotta run this almost like I don't say like a business, but in a sense it is,
Mhm.
because we gotta know who's responsible for what are
Right.
we walking into, what are our plans for the future, what are our housing plans, what are our business
Mhm.
plans, what are our career plans, all
And
of
see,
that.
those
And
are
I
the
bet you,
things that a lot of people our age and is looking when they looking for a relationship. Those things run through their mind, but a lot of times they don't open their mouth and express it.
because
So
I think a lot of people are scared to ask those questions out of fear of turning the other person off from the relationship, because again it's so romanticized that they think that, oh, if I say something about this, then we not gonna work out. Well, if y'all not gonna work out, if you
it's
discuss it,
just
then
not
y'all
gonna
not
work.
gonna work out,
Yeah.
period. So you need to have that discussion, and not walk into situations like blindfolded, and just whatever happens kind of situation. That ain't the
Right.
way to do stuff. And then you wonder why the divorce rate is over 50%. What is going to be our goals going towards the future? How are we going to invest? So, where are we going to live? Are we going to live here forever? Are we planning on
Mhm,
moving in 5 to 10 years?
mhm.
What does your credit score look like? How much money do
Right.
you make?
And if
Do you
one of
have
us
any
gets
debts
sick,
that I
who
don't
gonna be
know
able?
about?
Are you still gonna be able to hold up the bills if one of us gets sick?
Yeah, if
If
I
we gonna be
get
able to
sick,
still have our
can you
living
pay? Can you
expenses?
handle the
Yeah,
bill? Can you hold it
yeah,
down if
yeah.
something happens to me? Those type of conversations need to be had, instead of it being the rainbow situation that people are creating, in their minds, that marriages are. I see, these marriage ceremonies, these wedding ceremonies, I should say,
Hmm.
with 15 bridesmaids and 15 groomsmen, and
Well,
three flower
well,
girls and three
the
ring
sad part
bearers.
about that,
And
a lot of times it don't necessarily be the bride's fault. It's her friends or cousins. I know you ain't not have me in your wedding.
you better make a decision and cut. That's what you need to
And
do. You better
sometimes
make a decision
that
like,
comes from
hey,
not always
I'm
wanting to
sorry.
hurt
If you gotta
people's
pull,
feelings.
you gotta pull names out of a hat. You need to pull names out of a hat and reduce that number down, because it just don't make sense. I mean, it's you get in it, you spend more time worrying about this presentation, which ain't even for y'all. You're doing all of this for the appetite or the entertainment of other people, because when you really want to get married, you don't care about all of that. When you're really
Right.
about the marriage itself, that becomes less and less significant. Yes, it's a one-time thing, and you can have it that way.
Hmm.
I'm not deterring people or saying that you should not have the big wedding or you should not have the big ceremony to celebrate your love. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that that should not be prioritized
Right.
over the marriage
Exactly.
itself.
And
That
so
that the
sometimes,
marriage
like you
itself
said, is
should
the
be the
people putting
priority.
off these the marriage for these long engagements for fear that they don't have the finances to do it, or
Right. And then when the finances don't add up over time, because it's hard to be honest, especially in today's economy, it's hard to save that kind of money that people are spending on weddings and
Mhm.
stuff now, and still take care of all your priorities in regards to your current situation. So not only do you have to worry about your current housing, car notes, house
Mhm.
notes,
Mhm.
whatever
Mhm.
you got going on, food, grocery, kids, whatever. Now you got to worry about putting extra money aside for this, you know, significant wedding plans that you have in regards
Right.
to a ceremony. So I mean, it all. I mean, if you could do that, if you got the income that you can do that, and you can pay 125, 130, $150 a plate for, wedding guests, I mean, do it. And if it's not hurting your pockets, by all do it. I still think there's a place for that. If that's what you want to do. However, I still think that the marriage itself should be the priority, and you should be putting more attention on, the marriage itself than the
Right.
wedding
The
ceremony.
ceremony.
It's not.
So getting back to like what you said about knowing if you're where you're saying you're ready and you're actually not moving forward as a person who's ready to settle down because you're still doing what you call single. You're still acting like a single person. You technically are single, but you're in your mind, you're like, I want to settle down. I want to get with somebody. I want to get married. I want to do, just have a family and grow old together. But at the same time, you have somebody that you know that you may have dated or been around that's been there for you, like through everything. Know your bad habits, know your good habits, know your ins, your outs, but you choose not to really be with this person for fear of what? What do you think that comes from? Because sometimes that person is right there and they're supporting you through everything, but this person could possibly be that person, but you always say, I don't know.
I think it's that 80-20 thing, or 70-30, 60-40, however you want to look at it. I think it's that thing of, yeah, I mean, they cool, but I think I can get somebody that got 10% more of what I want in a person, as opposed to 70% of what I can get 80% in the next person. I think that the fear of, that fear of commitment in that area is basically what keeps people from moving forward in that situation. And it's a shame because, like I said before, sometimes people can be right before your eyes. You can pass them over
Mhm.
simply
Mhm.
because you're looking for that next best thing, not understanding that the best thing for you is right in front of you.
Mhm.
So, just keeping it a buck. Just like I said with you, I had to ask questions, and the thing about it is, you from a man's perspective, when the scripture says, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So that means you're already operating in the capacity of a wife. It doesn't mean that I
Mhm.
met a woman, made her girlfriend, made her my
Mhm.
fiance, then married her, and then hope that in all of that process, she's developing what she needs to be a wife. That's
Right.
not how it works. Like, it's the same thing, in my opinion, it would be for a husband. You should be already operating in that capacity. There's
Right.
certain things I think as a husband you should already have in you, and you're going to have in you, if that's the role that you want to play. You're going to be in that role. A woman is going to be working in that role. I watch some of these reality shows. We see this. Are you the
Yeah.
one? Married at first sight, and all that. And it's like, I'm looking at these people like, you are totally not ready to be married. Not at all. Not in
Mhm.
the least
Mhm.
little bit. I mean, the women don't know nothing about cleaning or cooking. Not that those are their jobs, because
Right.
men should know how to clean and cook too. But it's just those. Even they're not domestically inclined, they're
Mhm.
not relationship wise inclined, because they are focused on continue to meet other stuff,
Mhm.
other than what you would be inclined to be focused on if you're a wife. That's in my opinion. And
Okay.
even the guys, I'm tired of seeing guys out here that can't even freaking change the tire on the daggone car. That is just bananas to me. That you can't change a flat tire on your car, or even change the oil. How do you jack the car? Where is the jack in the car? Do
Right.
you know that
Right.
the car has a jack?
Mhm.
Do you know if your car has a
But
spare? I mean,
well, you
where does
got
the
to think
gas go?
you
What
got
kind of
some men
gas do
who
you have in your
you
car? It's
you got
it's it's just
listen. You got
I'm
some men
just
that
saying.
figure they got the money so they could just pay to get the tire fixed or get the car jacked up. I'll just pay somebody to come pick up the car. I'll pay somebody to change the tire. Some people, it's men like that. Some men have
Yeah, I
a
know. It's a
house and won't
lot of
cut the
men like
grass
that.
and figure, hey, I'll just pay somebody to cut the grass. And those are and that too, those are the things that need to be discussed because say for instance this one person grew up in a household where mommy cooked all the time, so he might be looking for this woman to constantly cook for him all the time. Mommy made sure daddy's clothes was ironed, she washed the clothes, and this that and the third. So sometimes people try to mimic what they saw or how they were raised. And then you find this woman, she might be perfect for you, but her ass don't cook. And she might know how to cook a little bit, but she not no gourmet cook and gonna have no 3 course meal every night when you come home. So then you kind of push her to the back burner because, oh, well, I'm used to, I want a wife that when I come home, my dinner done when I walk through the door. So now you done missed out on this woman that has all the other attributes for you that's right for you, but because that one little thing, you want to toss her over into the trash.
You saying she can't cook at all?
I didn't say that. I said she cannot cook. She can't make gourmet meals or do. She can cook. So
I
hey, it
don't
ain't
know.
that hard to fry some
In
chicken,
some
fry
in
some French
some circles,
fries.
that's a definite deal breaker. If she can't boil water, I mean, come on,
I
some
didn't say she
you
couldn't do
gotta
that. I'm talking
learn. I
about just,
mean,
and some women know how to cook, but just as much, like we said, society has changed. She might be tired when she gets in from work, and she might not feel like cooking at that point. But some men demand they want dinner every night. You know what I'm saying? They want to come home to a cooked meal. So is
yeah,
that
I
a
mean,
deal
there
breaker
there
for
are
some?
there are scenarios and situations where that exists. I think it's in today's day and age where you have both people in the household that are working like that. I think it's kind of unrealistic to always expect that meal, especially if she's working just as much as you are, whatever the case may be. I think that's unrealistic. I mean, both people could cook. I mean, I don't. That's just me. I don't personally understand it. But as far as yeah, you're right in regards to cutting the grass and changing tires. There are men that just do that. I mean, I could afford to pay somebody to cut my grass, but why? I mean, some stuff just don't make sense to me. I mean, I get it. You don't
But
feel
that's
like
you.
doing it.
That's
You
you.
know, yeah, that's me. That's me. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I'll sit up here and I'll just figure it out and do it myself because
Mhm.
you know
But
it
that's
just
the
don't
type
make
of
sense to me
person
to
you
bring
are.
some
But
people.
you've always been like that. That didn't just happen overnight. That's been you
No, it
for
didn't.
years.
No, it
Right.
didn't. And my whole thing is that that's what I'm saying. A lot of it that is lost in transition and to me from being a boy into a man. It's like some things I think you should know regardless, just as being a man. Because what if you stuck on the side of a road somewhere? You know what I'm saying? You ain't got cell phone service and you got a flat tire. So you just gonna sit there until you can get somebody to roll by for you could be able to
And
change
they
the
will.
tire.
And you
So
know
you
why
know,
they
sometimes
will?
and that's just and to me that's just asinine and ridiculous. Learn how to
But you
change
know
the
why
daggone
they will?
tire in
Because
the
at
car.
some point in
It ain't
their
that
life,
big of a deal.
somebody always took care of that stuff for them. Because
Right.
evidently this so so why would they just think all of a sudden now I need to just learn how to do this? You know what I'm saying? If all their life somebody else took care of so much stuff for them, why now? Why do I need to know this now? And I can just make a phone call and get it taken care of.
Yeah, they think, but all the times that phone call not be there. And what if? And my whole thing is, if some things you should have that should be inherent capabilities or learned capabilities throughout life. Just certain things should be, and certain things just ain't gonna change. I don't care how much technology we get. I don't care how much money you get because money comes and goes. You could be a
Mhm.
millionaire today and be broke tomorrow. You could have, money in the bank today, and you're one tragedy away from, draining all your savings. So now what? So now you can't make that phone call to have somebody, come by, bring their
And
lawnmower,
you
cut
know
your
what?
grass.
And that's usually when the time for the person to learn. Some people don't
But
learn
that's
until they
that's
hit
that's
rock
not when
bottom.
it's time to learn. You should know that
I
even if
said
you don't.
that's
I
for
believe
some
certain
people.
skills you should have, even if you don't necessarily have to use them at a specific point in time.
But
And I
that's
think
coming
that
from you because you've been inbred with that all your life that you're gonna figure it out on your own. Everybody don't have that. So some
well,
people
I
they
mean,
literally have to
in
smack
all
the
honesty, yeah, I
concrete
had to.
before they say,
I had to be. I was raised into that. And when I say I was raised into that, because I was born into a single mom household where my father wasn't there and my mother needed my help. So
mm-hmm,
I had to learn how to do this, do that. I had to learn how to fix stuff, do plumbing. I had to learn how to put electrical switches on. This is stuff I had to learn because I had to help my mother because
did you
my
hear what you
mother
just said?
had
You
right.
had to.
Yeah, I had to. I absolutely had to.
Everybody don't
Well, I
have
can put it
to.
this way: I didn't have to, but I thought as a man, as the man of the household, regardless of whether I was technically the world considered a man at the age of 14, 15 years old, I still wanted to. I didn't want to see my mother in that position, so I did what I could do to help out because she
Mm-hmm,
was a single mom, and
mm-hmm,
so that's what I'm saying at the same time. So it don't necessarily have to be in a situation where you just oh, I'm born into with a golden spoon in my mouth, and so I ain't got to worry about doing this kind of stuff. Sometimes it becomes a necessity and a need to know this stuff, even if it's not at that moment, because you could be 20, 21 years old and still not know how to do it. But when you get 25, something tragic could happen to put you in a position where you should be able to know how to do this, and now you lost. And
It
that's just
sounds
my opinion
it
on it.
sounds
That's just my
easy coming out your mouth, but that's just not the reality for some people. And we see it even people past 20. We've seen it in people in their 30s and 40s that just literally some of the things that we take for granted and think are just the norm for us, they have no idea. They have no clue.
Oh, absolutely. I see it every day. I mean, working in my profession, I see it every day of people that don't have a clue. But
And that's
getting
another
back.
thing. So getting in a relationship, does this if I'm ready and I'm trying to bring in a wife or a helpmate, and this person might not necessarily take care of their finances good. So are you really ready for this relationship, and are you trying to move somebody in or move in with somebody, and are you thinking this woman gonna take care of you? Are you willing to help out where help is needed? All that stuff. And that's what I'm saying. When you say people are ready to be in these relationships, are they truly ready to commit to? That's a big commitment, because living on your own, sometimes you could just say you just need enough to get by because it's just you.
Right.
But when you're trying
Absolutely.
to get into a relationship, now you have to think about the other person. It's no longer just you. Because
Right.
sometimes we get in the habit of just living for ourselves. And if you got kids that's grown, you pitch them a couple of dollars here and there. But if you're talking about a serious relationship, now we got to figure out how we're going to do this thing together. you
Oh
know
yeah.
what's going
Absolutely.
to be contributing.
Absolutely. But the thing about all of that is you always gonna. I've seen relationships where you always got one person that's good with money, one person's not, or you may have two people that's good with money.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always going to be one of those things that people I think going to work on inside their relationships. But you have to have the realistic expectations of what you can do. I mean, going in, you can't expect somebody who has no training, no financial training, no real. They work, say, a blue collar job where they're not making a whole bunch of money to come in, and then all of a sudden they're gonna be
But
Bill
okay,
Gates.
not
So
to
so
stop
that
you
has to be
again.
realistic too.
So you got a lot of blue collar people out here that's walking around looking like $1 million.
True
So
that.
you're just really getting to know these people. Like I said, some people don't always put everything on the table. So here it is. I see you go to work every day. I don't really know your paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Because we just met, or we trying to get together, or we've known each other but never really dug that deep. And now we're trying to build this relationship. But you from the appearance, me looking at you, oh, he's well kept, he looks like he takes care of himself well, he paid you. And I'm assuming,
One
people
one thing
assume, not knowing, people
one
assume.
one thing I know, and two things for sure: you never judge a book by its cover.
Right, and
Because
we say that,
you
but a
can.
lot of times we do.
I've dated women in my past that look like a dime when she out in public, in the
Hmm.
club and everything else, and you go to their house
Yeah.
and it's a completely different story. And so that their life is a wreck, but they pay attention to the wrong things. So
Hmm.
that, I mean, I think you're setting yourself up for a big disappointment when that kind of stuff happens anyway. But getting back to the fact of making a decision to actually get into a relationship and put yourself in a position to get in that relationship, I think that one, you have to really know that you're ready to be committed to one individual.
Right.
And that's going to be the most important part, making sure that that piece alone right
Yeah.
there will set the tone. Because if you ain't ready to push everything else aside and
Hmm.
say, hey, you know what, I'm ready to be committed, I'm ready to be in this relationship, and I'm ready to dedicate myself to this person and screw the rest of the stuff, then what follows that don't even matter. All this other
Right.
stuff that we talk about, it don't even matter. The financing ain't gonna matter, and all the other
Hmm.
kind of stuff, what you can do, can't do, ain't gonna matter. None of that's gonna matter. It's about being ready for a relationship. I ran into a buddy of mine the other
Hmm.
day, and he was actually going through a situation. He's actually married, but he's going through a tough time in life, and um, the situation is such that he might end up getting a divorce. And so I was more concerned about him and his mental health than the relationship. Because I asked him, I said, "Are you cool? I mean, do you really want to be in this relationship? Is this something that you really want? Are you making a decision that you want to fight for this? Because if you ain't willing to fight for it, then you just should just go ahead and cut your losses and not torture yourself mentally with the situation." And some people may say that that wasn't a good thing to tell them, but it's the truth because sometimes we get into situations and even talking about this relationship thing, about getting into relationships, we have to mentally think about the mental focus of it as well. Like, are you mentally ready to deal with this? Getting in and getting out. What does it mentally take for you to get into a relationship? And are you willing to get into a relationship, or are you willing to not be in a relationship but do what's necessary? Hello.
Hi. I ended up having to come on with them because I was upstairs, but my signal died. So I'm sorry, I missed some of the end of the conversation.
But I was just saying that you have to be able to be mentally prepared to be in a relationship, coming in, have that mentality. Because I know with him, I saw it all over his face that the issue that he was going through, and the fight just seemed like he didn't even have a fight in him no more. And that's something that you have to consider when you maybe are in a relationship and then the person that you with is just not there. And so I was more concerned about how he was mentally,
Yeah.
and how he was feeling in regards to being able to continue on in this relationship.
Because sometimes, like you said, if it's draining you to the point you become sick, I mean, I hate to put this scenario in, but I've seen people who've actually during divorces, one of the other mates have committed suicide.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like they don't want to trouble the family with the breakup, but the death is even harder. Especially if it's kids involved. But you gotta pretty much just really know what it is you're getting into, and when you're in that marriage, depending on how long you're in it, how long have you been fighting this fight? Because sometimes it could be something that just started and like, well, maybe we can work through this because we've had our issues several times, and those things we had to, like you say, sit back and really think about. Is it really worth saying I'm going to walk away from this, or can we get through this? And of course, we're here today, so we were able to get through it. But some things you cannot get through.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to push for separation or divorce, but sometimes it's healthier, depending
upon the
circumstances and
situation.
situations.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's healthier to just walk away. But I don't think we should drag this on too
No,
much
no,
longer.
no. I'm gonna shut it down here. For those of you that logged in, I thank you for logging in. This is put it on the table. This is the first time going live. It won't be the last time going live. We had a lot of technical issues. I'm gonna iron that stuff out. And so moving on into the future. But whenever you have questions, comments, concerns, put it in the box below. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know how you feel about even the topic that we discussed today. And, take a look at some of the other videos, that I'll probably list up here, over here. And then you let me know what you think about those. Give me a comments. I need feedback, y'all. I need feedback. Let me know what's going on so I can give you the content that you need.
And the main thing, like you said, is how do you know when you're single? And it goes for all ages, but mainly we looking at people who've been in relationships or marriages. How do you know when it's time to start a new relationship and move on, and that you're ready to commit? Because anybody can say they're ready, but are
She's
you
still
ready?
talking, y'all. She said she's still talking. We said we was gonna shut
I
it down,
know,
but she's still
but
talking.
I'm just saying.
This is what causes divorce. All right, y'all. Peace. Love y'all.
Well, Queenie was there.